Today's lesson is on multiplying mixed numbers. After today, you'll be able to interpret and compute quotients of fractions. For our first example, we're using the distributive property. Use the distributive property to find 1/2 times 2 3/4. The first step is to write 2 3/4 as a sum 2 plus 3/4. Now we'll use the distributive property to multiply 1/2 times 2, and then we'll be adding 1/2 times 3/4. So we have 1/2 times 2, and for this we're going to have 1 times 2, which is 2, and that's over 2, and 2 over 2 is 1 whole. And then we have plus 1/2 times 3/4. We're going to multiply 1 times 3, which is 3, and 2 times 4, which is 8. So we're going to have 3/8. So now we have 1 plus 3/8, and 1 plus 3/8 is 1 3/8. Now we have an additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you may follow along. We're going to use the distributive property to find the product. We have 2/3 times 1 1/2. Our first step is to change 1 1/2 to 1 plus 1/2. So we're going to have 2/3 times the quantity 1 plus 1/2. Now we're going to use the distributive property to multiply 2/3 times 1, and then we're going to add 2/3 times 1/2. So we have the quantity 2/3 times 1 plus the quantity 2/3 times 1/2. 2/3 times 1 is 2/3. And then we're going to have plus 2/3 times 1/2. I can divide 2 and 2 both by 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1, so both those 2's are going to become 1's. Now I have 1 times 1 for the numerator, which is 1, and 3 times 1 for the denominator, which is 3. And 2/3 plus 1/3 would equal 3/3. And we can also say 3/3 would be equal to 1 whole. So my answer would be 1. Now we're going to look at our key idea for multiplying mixed numbers. Write each mixed number as an improper fraction, then multiply as you would with fractions. For our second example, we're multiplying a fraction and a mixed number. We want to find 1/2 times 2 3/4. If we estimate, we could say this is 1/2 times 3, which would be 3/2 or 1 1/2. So our answer will be close to 1 1/2. So our first step is to write 2 3/4 as an improper fraction. In order to do this, we're going to multiply 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 3, which is 11, so we get 11/4. So now our problem is 1/2 times 11/4. We're going to multiply 1 times 11 for the numerator, and 2 times 4 for the denominator. 1 times 11 is 11, 2 times 4 is 8, so we get 11/8, and if we simplify 11/8, we get 1 3/8. We then can look and see if our answer is reasonable, and 1 3/8 is about 1 1/2, so yes, it is reasonable. Now we have an additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you can follow along. We're going to multiply. We want to write our answer in simplest form. We have 1/3 times 1 1/6. Our first step is to multiply, is to change 1 1/6 to an improper fraction. So we're going to multiply 6 times 1, which is 6, plus 1, which is 7, so we get 7/6. So now our problem is 1/3 times 7/6. We're then going to multiply 1 times 7 for the numerators, and 3 times 6 for the denominators. 1 times 7 is 7, and 3 times 6 is 18. So our answer is 7/18. Now we're going to look at our third example. We're multiplying mixed numbers. We're going to find 1 4/5 times 3 2/3. If we estimate, we can say this is going to be approximately 2 times 4, which is 8. Our first step is to change 1 4/5 and 3 2/3 into improper fractions. For 1 4/5, we're going to be multiplying 5 times 1, which is 5, plus 4, which is 9, so we get 9/5. And for 3 2/3, we have 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 2 is 11, so 11/3. So we have 9/5 times 11/3. We're then going to multiply our numerators 9 times 11, and we're going to multiply our denominators 5 times 3. We then can look and see if we have anything to simplify. We can divide both 9 and 3 by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So now we're going to have 3 times 11, which is 33, over 5 times 1, which is 5, so we have 33/5. And when we simplify 33/5, we get 6 3/5. We can then check and see if this is reasonable, and 6 3/5 is close to 8, so yes, it is reasonable. Now we have our additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you can follow along. We're going to multiply. We want to write our answer in simplest form. We have 1 7/8 times 2 2/5. Our first step is to convert both of these into improper fractions. For the first one, we have 8 times 1, which is 8, plus 7, which is 15, so we have 15/8. And for the second one, we have 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 2 is 12, or 12/5. So we have 15/8 times 12/5. Now we're going to multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So we have 15 times 12 on top and 8 times 5 on the bottom. Now we look to see if we can simplify. 5 and 15 can both be divided by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 15 divided by 5 will be 3. Now we can see if we can simplify 12 and 8. We can divide both 12 and 8 by 4. So 8 divided by 4 would be 2, and 12 divided by 4 would be 3. So now we're going to have 3 times 3 for the numerator and 2 times 1 for the denominator. 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 9/2. Now to simplify this, we're going to do 9 divided by 2, and 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And when I subtract 9 minus 8, I get 1. That is our numerator, and our denominator is 2. So our answer would be 4 1/2. Don't forget to fill out your notes, and remember you can watch the video again if needed.